Hello, my name is Gregory Smith. This video covers the developer functions of the Quick Query module that became available in Microsoft Dynamics SL 2011. There is a separate video that covers the user functions and is recommended that you watch that video prior to watching this one. The developer functions within Quick Query allow an administrator to add SQL views to the database so that they can be accessed via the Quick Query function. In addition, you can take existing Quick Query views that have been developed by Microsoft and included in the product and copy and modify them. Let's get started. The first function I'm going to demonstrate is the ability to take an existing Quick Query developed by Microsoft and modify it and add it to the menu. The first step is to go into the Quick Query view within Administration, and we pull this up and you can see it'll pull the very first query automatically, and then you want to click on this New button. If that button's not there, it means your user that you're running this from does not have adequate rights to do this function. They need to have at least delete rights on the QQVIE screen. So we're going to go ahead and click the New button, and you will see a list of SQL views. Now this includes all the views that are in the database. The ones that begin with QQ are the ones that Microsoft developed specifically for the Quick Query module. Now if you can put in part of the name, in this case I know it's Quick Query Employee, you can go ahead and put that in and it'll jump to that spot. So here's our Quick Query for the employee. I'm going to go ahead and do some of the functions the users can do. I can choose columns, and I'm going to get rid of a whole bunch of these columns. I'm going to work from the bottom up because what I'm creating here is an employee address list, and all of those fields are up near the top of this particular SQL query. And I'm going to go up here until I get to company region. I want to keep that. And I'm going to go ahead and add one that I deleted back in the node ID field. So here's my field. Now I'm going to move up the employee ID so it becomes the first field on the query. So here's my query. Now I'm going to also rename the query. And again, of course, the user can do these functions on their in the Quick Query module themselves. And then I'm also going to add a filter here. I'm going to select the status and set it equals to A, so I'm just getting the active employees. Click this filter, it rolls it up. Now I'm filtered by the active employees. The next step is to click the Save button, and it'll pull up this screen to save the base query view. Now if you just try to click OK here, you'll get an error message because you can't overwrite or make changes to the Microsoft base queries. So you'll have to save it under a different name. So I'm going to add address here. So I'm basically making a copy and saving under a different name. And I'm going to update the description with a little better description here. Active employee address. And you have to give it a unique screen number. You can't overwrite the screen number either. I'm going to check this box for the main menu. You can see here's where the note columns are. I'm going to go ahead and remove this. You can see how to add one. If you click there, it'll say, hey, there's a note column available, and you click Add. These are the drill down programs. I'm going to delete both of them by hitting delete on the keyboard so you can see how to add them. Basically, you click this plus sign here, find your screen. In this case, it's going to be the employee maintenance screen, and select it, and then pass the parameters needed to pull the record you want. The employee maintenance screen, that's the employee ID, and now we're good to go. Click OK. And now this item is part of the base query views. Now we're going to go ahead and close this screen. And we're going to go into administration. And we're going to go into screen maintenance. We're going to find this item. It was automatically added to the screens as part of the process of creating the base query view, because we had that checkbox checked that said make it a menu item. And so I'm going to scroll down through all the screens and find the active employee address. You see that it's there. There's nothing really to do here. I was just showing that it actually gets created. I'm going to go ahead and close this now. Now what we've got to do is add it into the menu. So I'm going to go into menu maintenance. And I've created a group called menu where I've got all the menu items placed in the system. And so now I'm going to go to screens here. I'm going to open up under Quick Query Foundation Payroll. You can see it's not there. And I'm going to go to Screens, Group by Module, select Show All Screens, and under Payroll, I'm going to find the active employee address there in alphabetical order, and I'm going to paste that into the Payroll module. You can see there's the screen name, the screen ID, and the command to access that program. So, and then we're going to go ahead and give this thing a close, a save first, and then we're going to close, and that will add it into the menu. Now, if you look at Quick Query right now, you will see that the menu item is not yet there. What you have to do is close the application, reopen it, and it regenerates the menu navigation bar. This will actually physically add it into the menu. So you go to Quick Query, Financial, Payroll, and now you can see the active employee address list is there and available to be used. And you can drill down, look at the notes, drill down into the screen, the employee screen. You can see it's passing Randall Bozeman there. And if you make a change to the screen, like I'm picking up and I'm editing the employee note, and click OK, and then close, you will see that it is updated immediately. So there's the edited note. And again, this now is available for the users to use, as outlined in the user functions of Quick Query. Next, I'm going to demonstrate how to add an entirely new SQL view into the Quick Query base query views, so they're available to use in the Quick Query function. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into SQL, and I had already created this view called XV_batch status, which pulls batches that are held, suspended, balanced, or unposted. These are the batches you'd want to investigate before closing a month. And so here's a script to create the view, and I've already run this and created the view. And here's the data that it retrieves at this particular point in time from this database. So I'm going to minimize this. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up database maintenance. If you're doing a new view, you have to go into database maintenance and run the synchronize all database ownership and security. I've already done this, so I'm not going to bother to do it again. And then once you've done that, then you can go into Quick Query Administration, go into Quick Query Viewer, click the New button, and look for your view. And I know this view begins with XV. There's the batch status. Click OK. And I'm going to do a little editing. I'm going to rename this column for the user. And I'm going to change edit screen number to just say screen number. And you can say, whoops, I didn't capitalize it. Well, I can rename it again. Put in the capital S and click OK. Okay, just like the employee address one we did, this has the query view name. Now this is a new one, so I can overwrite that base query view name. I can use that default name. I'm going to want a better description though, not the name of the view itself. So I'm going to call this unreleased or unposted batches. And I'm going to change the related module to the general ledger because that's where I want it to sit in the query menu. You can see it's checked as a menu item. It assigned a screen number. That's okay. I'm going to go ahead and keep that. And I can limit it to certain companies. And this particular query does not have any ID columns, and I don't want to do any drill down on it. So I can just click OK, and that saves it. So now it's there available in the database. However, it will not yet be added into the menu. And just like as you can see here, if you go down into the general ledger, you don't see the unreleased batches query. So what we're going to have to do is just like with that employee address, we go to administration, we go to the menu maintenance, open up the menu group, click on Quick Query, expand the general ledger, and then go over to the screens, group by module, it's a little easier. All users, find general ledger, and find the unreleased or unposted batches, and drag it over into the general ledger. And then give it a save, close, and again, as I showed with the employee address, it's not available until you actually close the screen and reopen it. Now before I do that though, I'm going to go into access rights maintenance, and here's where you can give the rights to that particular query to additional users, not just the system administrator. And so I go into user 1, and I tell them I want them to have access to XV batch. And then you can set the level of the rights for that query. I'm going to save it. And we're now done. I'm going to close the screen, reopen Dynamics SL. It regenerates the navigation bar. And once that's done, if you go into Quick Query, Financial, General Ledger, you will see my unreleased or unposted batches. I'm going to go ahead and open it up, and now this query is available for the user. I'm going to go ahead and export this to a query table. I'm going to select filtered rows and selected columns. I'm going to create. And there's my query table. You can see if you go to data, you will find that you have a connection here. There's the properties of the query, and there's the connection. Click on this properties, and I'll tell it I want it to refresh data when opening the file. And now I'm going to go ahead and save it on my desktop. And I'm going to call it batch status. And save. And go ahead and close this. And I can close this screen now. And so now, even if I'm not in Microsoft Dynamics SL, user can still open up batch status if they have the proper rights, enable content, and it will have a current list of the batches that are at this point unreleased or unposted. As this video demonstrates, the developer functions within Microsoft Dynamics SL Quick Query allow a developer or administrative user to copy and modify the base query views to meet the organization's specific needs, or to use entirely new Microsoft SQL views and pull them in as new base query views and make them available for the users. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching.